Hi guys, so it's taken me a long time to make this video. It's something that I've been meaning to do but never kind of got around to, I guess. Basically I wanted to talk to you about a kind of controversial, like taboo kind of subject. So as it stands, I guess, I wanted to talk to you about pedophiles. Now this is a controversial kind of topic, as is a lot of things. But basically, I kind of wanted to talk to you about it from a different perspective. Sorry, I'm just adjusting the camera. A different perspective. So, you know, there's a lot of hate. There's a lot of hate and bias against pedophiles. Now, while I understand that and get that, because I am a counsellor, because I know psychology and everything, I have to see things from all different types of ways. I was abused as a child all through my childhood. I was sexually, emotionally, mentally, psychology, and physically I was abused. And so the thing is that it took me, it still does take me like a long time to kind of be able to deal with this and get through the day, basically. So I have to look at situations where if I was having like a certain client of a certain background or whatever, if I would know when is enough kind of thing. And we all have like situations and such which we know that we're not going to be able to treat the client. For me, one of those things is to do with anyone who would hurt children, or have any kind of link to pedophilia or abuse of that sort. And so I would find it very difficult. However, having said that, I have stated that even though I know that I personally couldn't treat them, at the same time, it's like I know that it's like a mental illness. It's like a mental illness. It really is. There's a difference between pedophiles and other pedophiles. Pedophiles who have like actually committed an act. So like pedophiles who have hurt a child, pedophiles who have acted on their impulses, they have like, yeah, they are awful, pretty much, to me at least. But at the same time, having said that, I would still, if they came to me and wanted help to deal with that, to deal with that after doing it, and if they like had done it, served time, and then they came like for professional help or whatever the case may be in that situation, I wouldn't treat them, but at the same time I would still respect the fact that they were brave enough to kind of come for help, like to admit that they've got an issue, they've got a problem, and they need help to try and combat that. I would respect that, right? But I personally could not treat that client because I have a personal bias. Even though I can see that they are trying to get help, I still couldn't do it. And that's the thing, like, a lot of counselors, unfortunately, will treat clients even though they know that they've got a personal bias. But you're not meant to do that, because if you have a personal bias against the client, it's more likely that you're going to give wrong advice, you're going to treat them um, disrespectfully, and it's not going to help you and it's not going to help the client. So, um, yeah, and so the best thing to do in that situation is to refer them on to someone who can better deal with it, that kind of thing. Um, and also, I would say that, like, in that situation, it would be best for them to see a psychologist, not really a counselor, but basically, you kind of have what you have. But for me, the difference is that I can see both sides. So when it comes to, like, pedophiles who have not committed an act and are, like, at that stage where they're, like, trying desperately, and they realize that they've got a problem, when it comes to them, like, I can appreciate the fact that they realize they've got a problem and they're trying to fight it. I realize the fact that they would like help and come to me for help. At the same time, likewise, I still don't know that I could possibly treat them, because of my personal bias. Because even though I know that they've not done anything yet, like, I still would have that personal bias, but I can still respect them a lot better for not actually acting on it, if that makes sense. And I do feel sorry for them, though. Like, I've got a lot of empathy for the ones who are trying desperately hard not to act on it and never have acted on it. I know that it must be a lonely life that they must lead, like relationships, never being able to have, like, a proper relationship because you're too focused on that aspect of you're wanting someone who is younger, who is a kid. That must be difficult. Um, and like, I can see both sides. And what I'm trying to say is that there are more than one way to look at something. So, whereas you may see, like, I've said this recently, I feel that I could much more handle treating a client who has killed someone than I would be able to treat a pedophile. Um, and that's, like, because it's a personal bias situation. I personally, when it comes to, if they've killed a child, intentionally killed a child, then I couldn't. But if they've killed a child, like, for instance, if they've accidentally run over a child, or if they've, like, got into a crash and it's killed a child, or that kind of thing, then I could. But if they've intentionally killed a child, then I couldn't treat them either. But if they were to kill someone, and then later serve their time and then come for, like, counseling or whatever, I'm more likely to be able to treat them than I would if treat someone who has hurt a kid, because I have that personal bias. Like, I just do. I have a huge problem with that, with pedophiles and also rapists, because rapists fall into that category. Yeah, rapists fall into that category as well. It's not just a one incident kind of thing. But we have to kind of remember that they've got a problem, and at the end of the day, it's a mental health situation, and they need help with it. And I think that it is brave that they actually come for help. Not all do, and I think it's because there's like this, stigma, taboo, that's going on, that they would not come to you for help because they're too afraid, um, of like getting in trouble after the fact. So like, I like, and if they were to have their identities known or whatever, they're afraid that they will be hurt by the public. So I can understand that, and I can understand a few different situations, but all I'm kind of trying to get across is that there's more than one way to look at situations like this. And the way I see it is, if I have been abused the way I have and gone through so much trauma, and I'm still able to see it through that way, then I'm sure that if people had the opportunity to be able to, they would be able to at least hopefully see that there's more than one way to look at this kind of situation. But unfortunately, because of the world and how it is, I don't expect that to happen, or at least not to happen anytime soon. But I do believe that more should be done. I believe that, much like there is for prisoners, who have killed others, and like for people who have severe, um, drug uh, drug problems and stuff, I think that there should be some sort of place where people who have either acted on it or not acted on it could go and live, um, and be rehabilitated. I don't know that they could ever feel safe going into the public again once, if they've ever been, known to do what they did. Um, but, I think that there definitely should be a place where they can feel safe, um, with their own kind of surroundings. Um, and we've got to remember also too that when people look at pedophiles, a lot of the time they automatically think of like men. And while that is most predominantly true, there are also females, who do it as well. Um, Basically, I just wanted to make this video so that I can kind of hopefully reach other people who could, see this from a different perspective, and maybe together we can help bridge a gap between, um, different lines of ways of thinking.